start. What is going on? Hold on a second. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. What's up, everybody? It's Keefe at ghostcultmag.com. I am back with another live stream, a little late night live streaming while I am still at the remote studio away from home. Skullbench passing by. What up? What up? Just pinning a post with the tip menu. I'll talk about that in a second. And yeah, man. Big news of the day, the NFL announced Bad Bunny is going to be doing the halftime show at the 2026 Super Bowl, or the Superb Owl, now that I've been calling it the Superb Owl. I can't call it anything else ever again. I'm just going to adjust my microphone here. I hope that sounds pretty good. A bit echoey here in the room, but not much you can do there. What's up, Kurt? I'm back. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you. It was a nice chat with you earlier. Not 100% sure. I think my Instagram shit the bed, so that's not working. But looks like we got a handful of people watching on YouTube. I'm very appreciative of that. And a few people on the tick of the talk. Thanks for being here. So, yeah, man, big news of the day. The NFL picks Bad Bunny to do the Super Bowl halftime show, which to me is not a big deal. Again, the NFL doesn't really do rock bands. They haven't for a very long time. And, just not a thing for them. So that's fine. But, people are up in arms for a variety of reasons. I'm not sure of all of them, but I have my thoughts why. And, people seem to be a little confused about, the political implications of one of the biggest superstars in the world having a huge year and having him at the Super Bowl. But, people are going to people. None of these are really working good for the lighting here. All right. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm back. Had it all tested out, and then it all went to hell. So I thought I would jump on here and talk about what's up, Black Clad Demo, Luke, and Jason E. Fletch. Instagram just not working. Not sure why. Trying to do it, and it's not doing the thing, unfortunately. So we'll have to put it on Instagram later. This is your first time here. Thanks for being here. Colette is here. What's up, Colette? Les, Rhiannon. And if this is your first time here, please show us some support with a like and a sub. Oh, Bad Bunny. I mean, whatever. I hear what you're saying. The NFL is, we'll talk about in a second why Bad Bunny was picked. But the bigger thing is rock and metal fans are mad because the Super Bowl is in San Francisco this year. San Francisco, by the way, is a pretty decent team with a shot of going all the way and hosting the Super Bowl, which is rare, but it has happened. And, the Super Bowl halftime show at this point is performative. And there's a lot of facts that I don't think people know about the Super Bowl halftime show. John is here. What up? Jer is here. I think there's a lot of things people don't understand about the Super Bowl and what it does and what the halftime show does. But I'm going to try to go into it and talk about why was Metallica snubbed? If they were snubbed, why? They seem to be warming to the idea of doing it. But at the same time, maybe they're never going to get to do it. And maybe they shouldn't do it. And I'll talk about that also. So we're going to have a fun little chat here and talk about all these things. Yeah, I understand. It's super interesting to see everybody wring their fucking hands about Bad Bunny. Not even, that it's a bad choice. Just why is it Bad Bunny? And of course, I'll talk about that. If people who were mad at Kendrick Lamar last year or earlier this year, last Super Bowl, were furious about I didn't understand them, very, Karens and lame white people and, people who are just putting too much energy into this shit. Bad Bunny is going to do probably his whole set in Spanish because the predominant amount of songs he has is in Spanish. Young is here. What up? What up? So it was actually a little fun without having Instagram to manage. Just a reminder for some housekeeping. We do interviews and live streams and other content on our YouTube channel. That's where most of our stuff lives, besides ghostcultman.com. And the best experience for this is YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, usually Instagram, and I'm here on TikTok also. So if you got questions or you want to join the conversation, I appreciate it. Johnny is here. So we ran a new interview. If you love metal, we ran an interview today with Niklas Carlson of Orbit Culture. Their new album's coming out this week. Banging album, banging band. One of the best death metal albums of this year for sure. And I had a really fun chat with him. Some of our recent live streams, I do a weekly live stream every week where I catch you up on all the drama and the rumors and the tour dates and the new album announcements and all the merch and all the things. So, that's a thing we do every Thursday. And also, again, I pop in and I do these live streams every couple of days. So I just did a roundup of reviews Friday night I did of the last 3 concerts I saw. Even though these things live on our site and we get to cover concerts and festivals all over the world, I thought it would be fun to come on and do some more reviews. I had done recently a 9 Inch Nails review here. So I wanted to kind of bring that vibe again back to the channel. And it seemed to be very well received. Stapper is here. Swedish Kingfish is here. Boba Freak is here. Boba T, Boba Fett. Also, if you live in the Los Angeles area or you have the means to get there, we are giving away 5 pairs of tickets to see the Cult and Death Cult, a very rare occurrence that the Cult and Death Cult join and do a whole tour together. The Death Cult is the Cult's sort of new wave band, post-punk band, and the Cult is their later huge rock band. So they're both touring and 2 sets, all the jams. Failure is now playing the LA show along with Patriarchy, who kicks complete ass. So if you got a chance, you want to enter to win, go ahead, because we have a lot of tickets to give away. Partnered up with Golden Voice on that. And then again, just a reminder, we have our tip menu. If you want to give us a tip, here's, I've already pinned it to TikTok. I was smart this time. Here is the tip menu across the other channels and what we do. So yeah, much appreciated if you want to hang out and send us all the jams. That's cool. All right. Let's see. This is one of those chances where I will go off script a little bit and talk to the crowd if you want to be talked to. Just my thing. And here's our QR code for our Cash App. Hey, we got a whole bunch of people watching on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. If you're new here, give us a like and a sub and get notified when we go live or drop new videos. So the Super Bowl, man. The Super Bowl is the biggest event in television. It is the most watched event, I think, except for soccer. More watched than the elections, more watched than anything. And the Super Bowl it's driven by money. And the NFL, which again, here's some things you may not know, some facts about the NFL, some facts about the Super Bowl. The NFL, like all major sports leagues, operates like a nonprofit, which means they don't pay taxes and they make billions of dollars under a tax shelter because they do a certain amount of charitable work. The artists that play the halftime for the Super Bowl do not get paid. They volunteer to play. Or in the case of a band like Metallica that has a charitable foundation, maybe they would team up with the NFL to collaborate for their charitable foundation if they did that. And the artists don't get paid because of the credit and the hype. You already know how that goes. Metallica at this point does not need the NFL. They are the biggest band in the world. And they have never been bigger than right now. Maybe they've been better, but they've never been bigger. And I think that's important to notice. And again, if you want one of these folks watching on TikTok and you want to subscribe to us and follow us or drop us one of those gifts or hearts or whatever it is you do, that's cool. So the NFL this year, again, it's in San Francisco. The 49ers now play in Santa Clara at the new Levi's Stadium. Levi's is an iconic American jeans brand. All you metal jacket, vest, battle vest people like me, I don't have mine with me now because I'm away from home, but Levi's is a San Francisco-based brand. They were formed during the gold rush to outfit miners with durable clothes you could rewear and not wash. Kind of amazing. And that brand is, 175 years old or more. And so the stadium is Levi's Stadium, and the game will be played in early February there. And so again, the halftime, the Super Bowl revenue for a 30-second commercial is like $1 million. So, a lot of people just watch the Super Bowl. They don't care about the NFL. The NFL is the most popular sport in the world, and the NFL is becoming a global brand. They just played in Mexico City. They played a game in Brazil. They're playing in London and Madrid. So they're trying to build their brand with global people. And Bad Bunny, for better or worse, is one of the biggest artists in the world. So let's talk about Super Bowl LX 55. And my Giants just won their first game of the year. They're fucking terrible, but at least we avoided firing the coach for one more week. Started the Jackson Dart era. We will not be in the Super Bowl, I'm guessing. But so Bad Bunny gets named. I'm going to read you this press release because it's super interesting. Let's see. And this is just absolutely dominating the headline. Just absolutely overwhelming all the news all over the web, everywhere. So Bad Bunny to headline the Apple Music Super Bowl XL halftime show on February 8th. Here's the press release from Associated Press. And Bad Bunny will bring his Latin trap and reggaeton swagger to the NFL's biggest stage next year. The Grammy winner will headline the Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show in Northern California. So Apple Music is the sponsor. You're going to hear their name over and over again dropped in tune with the halftime show. And then NFL, Apple Music, and Rock Nation announced Sunday that Bad Bunny will lead the halftime festivities from Levi Stadium February 8th in Santa Clara, California. It's just like an hour south of San Francisco where I live. The Puerto Rican superstar selection comes amid another career-defining run. He is fresh off a historic Puerto Rico residency this month that drew more than 500,000 fans and is leading all nominations in the Latin Grammys in November. He has become one of the world's most streamed artists with albums such as Un Verano Sin Ti, an all-Spanish language LP. What I'm feeling goes beyond myself, Bad Bunny said in a statement. It's for those who came before me and ran countless yards so I could come in and score a touchdown. Nice sports analogy, guy. This is for my people, my culture, our history. And then he writes in Spanish, Ve die a tu abuela que seremos el halftime show del Super Bowl. So I think this is for my grandma and everybody. Halftime Super Bowl show. Rock Nation founder Jay-Z said in a statement that what Bad Bunny has done, continues to do for Puerto Rico is truly inspiring. We are honored to have him on the world's biggest stage. So Jay-Z, why is Rock Nation and Jay-Z involved? Jay-Z booked the talent for the Super Bowl and has for a long time. So this is why there's no rock bands. Now, that's not saying, a lot of times rock artists do get to come on and do a feature like Aerosmith with Britney Spears, but he's just not going to book a rock artist, I think, to come in. Although, there's some obvious ones. You could see Santana coming in here and mixing like Mexico and Puerto Rico, kind of co-Caribbean roots a little bit there. Santana's never done the Super Bowl to my recollection. You could see he's done stuff with Cardi B. He's done stuff with Shakira. You could see them making this an entire Latin-themed Super Bowl talent show, and I would be down with that. The 31-year-old artist born Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio has won 3 Grammys and 12 Latin Grammys. He's become the global ambassador for Latin music. Starred in the film such Bullet Train, which I fucking loved with Brad Pitt, Caught Stealing in Happy Gilmore 2, which I still haven't seen, and collaborated with top fashion houses. He'll enter the Latin Grammys as the leading nominee with 12, dethroning producer and songwriter Edgar Barrera. Red Bolt is also here. Wes Not Wes is here. What's up? Rock Nation, the Emmy-winning producer Jesse Collins will serve as the co-executive producers of the halftime show. Hamish Hamilton will serve as the director. Last year, Kendrick Lamar shined with guest SZA in New Orleans, setting the record for the most-watched Super Bowl halftime show with 133.5 million viewers. His performance surpassed the audience for Michael Jackson's 1993 show. That is fucking crazy. That's just crazy. But not everybody is so happy. Not just rock fans are unhappy. But all of MAGA is unhappy because one thing that Bad Bunny is he is vehemently anti, let's say, conservatism. He is anti-ICE. He is the anti-ICE movement in America, if you want to call it such a movement. It's not really. and he is, as the most visible Latin American artist, he is front and center in the debate about the current policies about the border and the welfare of cities and all these things and how people are being treated, which has been horrendous and bullshit. But I don't have time to go into all that today. Just a sampling of the writing about this, just a sample, just a little example. This is kind of fucking mind blowing. Closed it. Hold on. So, Yahoo, hypocrite Bad Bunny is a controversial figure to host the Super Bowl. NFL fans are fuming. Absolute disgrace. Bad Bunny will get no money for doing the Super Bowl. No shit. Everybody knows that. I just told you. MAGA furious at Bad Bunny's selection. He has been a very vocal opponent of this, of Trump and ICE and everything. Why did the NFL choose Bad Bunny? Bad Bunny. Hosts ridicule MAGA supporters. Outrage. The View. Not my favorite show, but you know what I'm saying. So it's going viral for this. Last week we talked a lot about freedom of speech and pearl clutching and Gore and Jimmy Kimmel and everything surrounding that. And so this is a slight extension of this. I don't have to go into a sociology explanation about why why America has been like a racist place. And on one hand, Bad Bunny is the most popular Latin American artist maybe ever, especially if he sweeps the Grammys again. And he's going to do the Super Bowl. He is the first Latin American artist to ever be the main artist at the Super Bowl. This is humongous and historic for his community. Puerto Rico itself has always been marginalized and put down. So again, Jay-Z and Bad Bunny connection, and Bad Bunny just for a more positive thing. There was a Bad Bunny reveals when Jay-Z called him about the Super Bowl halftime show and how he, what it went through, the emotions. So I think this is pretty interesting. He was in the middle of a workout. I just did 100 pull-ups and I didn't need more pre-workout shit to get pumped after the call. It was very special. That's kind of fun. It was crazy because I was in the middle of a workout. So I remember after the call, I had just did 100 pull-ups and I was like so excited. I didn't need more pre-workouts or whatever. I was pumped. It was very special. Jay-Z has programmed the Super Bowl halftime show as part of an ongoing partnership between Rock Nation and the NFL to enhance the NFL's live game experiences and amplify the league's social justice efforts. Oh, so interesting. That would explain some of the Super Bowl halftime stuff like Kendrick Lamar's show. And Morgan is here. What's up? Talking about Bad Bunny. They never had Jay-Z in Linkin Park. Yeah, that would have been interesting for sure. I don't love Jay-Z. I don't think he's that good. I think he's a great business person. I never thought he was a very good rapper. He kind of filled the void. Biggie and Tupac were murdered, and Jay-Z was kind of the next guy out there. I mean, Puffy can't rap. He tried to have a rap career. He sucks at rapping. I think real true school MCs like Nas are too gritty for white America. Eminem did his thing when he did the Super Bowl with Dre. But yeah, of course, I'd love to see the mashup, right? That EP was pretty good. Linkin Park, I don't know without Chester if they could get to do the Super Bowl. I'm gonna prognosticate some potential other people who should do the Super Bowl beside Metallica. I just don't think any of the new metal bands are that big enough. Even System, as big as they are now. Slipknot, definitely not for like everybody's entertainment. Deftones are big as they've ever been, but I just don't see them being Super Bowl big just because they can tour an arena. What's the guy? Shabuzi just did an arena tour. He's in the middle of an arena tour, and he played here in San Francisco. And somebody had said to me, "Oh, it's pretty quiet at the bar this week." I think it's because Shabuzi is in town doing multiple shows at the Chase Center. And I was like, surely Shabuzi doesn't have, with his like couple of hits, doesn't have the ability to sell 20,000 tickets, but I guess that's what he does. So yeah, I'm just not a Jay-Z fan, but I respect the hustle as a business person. He owns part of Apple Music as an investor, Rock Nation. So look, the NFL, like Jay-Z is not going to hire a rock band to headline the Super Bowl. Let's just be there. He's going to hire pop artists, popular artists. It's actually amazing that Kendrick got to do it. It's amazing that Dre and Snoop and Eminem did it, because it's just kind of like almost too obvious, a choice. But again, I don't think a lot of these pop stars have staying power. Look at some of the lineups of like Lollapalooza. Doechii is fucking terrible. She's got one good song. I don't know how she headlined a festival set by herself without like help, because like I don't know. Everybody at the bar got too tipsy. Nice work, Morgan. Morgan, man, I gotta just give you a quick. I'm gonna sidebar for 1 second. Just give you a complete and total shout out. Killer new music, and thank you for just going hard every day online. I really appreciate it. So lifting up my spirits a little. I love this meme. I'm gonna embiggen this. Unfortunately, can't see it on TikTok. And it's like Bad Bunny is the Super Bowl halftime show. Too bad I won't be watching. And it's all these white MAGA people. For the same group of people, I was like, I couldn't understand what Kendrick was saying. Now, why do they have him? Why don't I have Jason Aldean? Jason Aldean sucks. Try this in a small town, motherfucker. But also, like, yeah, country music is just not as big as it used to be. There is no superstar. I guess Morgan Wallen, who's a racist piece of shit anyway. Not that again, the NFL has racism. The Super Bowl, like there's America has racism in it. So, I'm not surprised. But like, yeah, Morgan Wallen would be a guy, I think maybe would be a guy, or, Posty would be a guy. I think Post Malone would do a wonderful Super Bowl, and he would bring the rock element in. He would reunite Nirvana to be part of the Super Bowl. Like, he could do it. But I don't have a lot of hope, to be honest. And people are just particularly mad that the Super Bowl is in San Francisco and they didn't ask Metallica or Journey. And I don't fucking love Journey. Honestly, I'm a Journey hater. Somebody last night when I was hosting karaoke asked to do Separate Ways, and I was like, it's $30 to do a Journey song. And they were like, fucking what? I was like, yeah, you pay me $30 and I'll let you sing any Journey song you want. I'm just not a fan. And if I have to have Journey forced on me while I work, then I need to get tipped very well. I'm sorry. That's just a deal breaker for me. That's where I draw the line. So, yeah, man. Metallica, like, rock fans are pissed. They never get a rock band. They rarely get a feature. And it's in the Bay Area. Metallica is not on tour in February. They easily could do it. Journey, as far as I know, doesn't have any tour dates. I can't believe they didn't get millions of dead cops. Dead Kennedys would have been a good, fun choice to fuck up America and the rest of the world. But no, you got to take it seriously. There's a case, Metallica has said recently that they would even be, Lars has said, I'm warming up to the idea of it. But again, the NFL is a nonprofit, which is a complete scam, bullshit tax shelter. The Metallica doesn't do anything for free except for their charity. So they would have to get the NFL to collaborate with them to make it, meaningful for their charitable foundation, right? They don't like being in, this is a thing I've observed personally. I've seen Metallica like 8 times since the pandemic ended, since I moved to California almost 5 years ago, which is wild. January will be 5 years here. And when Metallica is not in control of their situation, they don't do well. That's why now Metallica brings their own, like when they had Back to the Beginning, Metallica brought their gear to Europe to do Back to the Beginning, and everybody played through Metallica's rig, their sound gear and their soundboard and their whole everything and their monitors, because Metallica does not like to not be in Metallica's element. They need everything just so. I was actually even really, clearly it was meaningful that they did it and they played before Sabbath and Ozzy, but like also they can only do it. I've seen them several times when it wasn't their environment and they struggled. And Metallica, they don't like playing on TV. We'll talk about that in a minute. They've had disastrous consequences whenever they've been on television, and it's tape delayed. The Super Bowl is tape delayed because of, profanity and around the world, and, to match up the sound sync with the video feed. So can you see Metallica recording their set for the halftime show and then lip syncing and enjoying that? I remember when the Chili Peppers came on with Coldplay. Hold on a second. Coldplay is fucking horrible. I didn't like U2 the first time after they stopped being political and fucking awesome, right up about until Joshua Tree. And then kind of mostly fucked that band except for a handful of songs. I didn't like, and so Coldplay, who is like the Justin Bieber to Usher, Coldplay to U2, just whacked. So Chili Peppers came on and they were like, you guys have to lip sync. So they recorded their song with Coldplay, and then Flea and I think it was Frusciante are just like up there, like not playing guitar, just joking around and pantomiming. Embarrassing for the NFL, not for them. They don't care, but embarrassing to take one of the greatest live bands in the world. But again, it's not an environment they're going to thrive in. Lars has been the one who said like, oh, I'd love to do it. And, we've kind of conquered every mountain and we're still kind of pushing ourselves to do things like, maybe it would be our time. And this is very similar to like Typo Negative doing a tribute show to Peter. Would Typo Negative reunite as Typo Negative? Probably not, Josh, but would Kenny and Johnny with a celebrity cast of people put on a show, a tribute to Peter? Sure. Is that a possibility to redo a band like a Static X is doing? No, definitely not. So Lars is into it, but again, Metallica doesn't play for free, doesn't like to play by someone else's rules, and does not like an environment they can't control. But okay. Remember when Metallica got together with Lady Gaga for the Grammys, and what a fucking nightmare disaster that was for Metallica? I'll skip Leslie Jones not, introducing Metallica properly. It's not Metallica, Lady Gaga and Metallica. It's Metallica with Lady Gaga. Show respect. I think Lady Gaga is amazing, but she's not Metallica. Not at all. Metallica's the biggest band in the world, and they have been for at least 20 years. They've been the biggest rock band ever. They transcended metal, and they do things no one else can do. They played on every continent. They broke all these records, all these Guinness Book of World Records, and all these things. So they get together. The story goes, apparently, that Lars was hanging out at Bradley Cooper's house and saw Lady Gaga on TV. And Bradley says, I just worked with her on that movie, A Star is Born, the remake. Go watch the original. The remake's all right, solid. And Bradley Cooper said, she's a huge metalhead. We were on set every day, and in her headphones, she's playing like Maiden and Priest and Metallica. You should give her a call. She loves you guys. And Lars is like, oh, yeah, it'd be a good idea if we played with her. We're playing the Grammy. So Lars literally takes Bradley Cooper's phone and calls Lady Gaga on Bradley's phone. Hey, I heard you're a big Metallica fan. She was like fucking freaking out. We're playing the Grammys to play one of our songs that's nominated. Would you come and sing with us? And it was a fucking nightmare because Metallica's tape delayed. James couldn't hear himself. The gear wasn't theirs. It was a fucking disaster. They got introduced wrong. Lady Gaga and also some other guys. It was a fun moment for rock and pop to come together. But like, again, it's not Metallica's thing to do these things. It seems like it would make sense. Have they ever done Saturday Night Live? I think back in the Reload era, they haven't played Red Rocks since 1989 because they can't ship all their fucking gear in. They'd have to like airlift their fucking shit in. Doesn't make sense economically. So, I would love to see Lady Gaga do the Super Bowl and then bring out Judas Priest and Metallica. That would be fucking nuts. Here's some other bands I thought of. So if not Metallica, who, right? This is the question. So why not AC/DC? We still have sort of two members of AC/DC, Angus and Brian Johnson, and some other guys doing AC/DC. They would be a no-brainer. Thunderstruck is played at every football game. It's the intro music for a bunch of college football teams. It's played all the time. Others, Hell's Bells, fucking Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, even though the lyrics are probably not really, clever, and all the Bon Scott materials fucking, you could come up with a whole bunch of songs. You could pick like the best 12 the best 12 minutes of AC/DC and just bang it out in a medley. So AC/DC would be a good idea, especially they're getting up there. They're not going to tour that much more, I think, and it would be a good time to maybe get them. Guns N' Roses has been talked about. Also, we saw Guns N' Roses also struggle live when it's not their environment. I think that at the beginning, I love the effort and I love the talent and the song choices by Guns. I think Axl's voice not as powerful as he used to be, but the last two times I saw Guns, they were fucking killer. And Guns N' Roses, granted, again, it's this grimy Hollywood band, but wouldn't it make sense to have them do the Super Bowl? Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, the Bengals. So many teams use GNR songs. The NFL and NHL and baseball all use metal music all the time, and they don't include the bands mostly. Who else would be good at the Super Bowl? Foo Fighters. I know that Dave has been taking a black eye. I think next year will be a comeback year for the band. I think the Fire Aid thing helped Foo Fighters by helping Nirvana, by helping Dave. Also, by the way, Bad Bunny was super impressive at that Fire Aid concert, and I did not know one song. And I thought he was very charismatic and interesting. So again, not my thing, particularly not a big Latin trap and reggaeton fan, but he might be good. You don't know. But Foo Fighters are going to have a new record next year. It'll be a very big year for them with their just announced new drummer, Elon Rubin, formerly of Nine Inch Nails, who now has Josh Freese, formerly of Foo Fighters. So maybe, doing the halftime show would be like a big thing for, rock. Green Day, again, similar to if you have Bad Bunny and you have Kendrick Lamar and you have Beyonce doing a very political exhibition for her halftime show. Green Day, could they tone it down? Could they promise not to swear? Could they not do, the whole conservative platform hates this band. And a lot of people hate them as much as they love them. Green Day is as big as they have ever been. They absolutely could do the Super Bowl. I think they're the one pop punk band that could do the Super Bowl that's big enough and good enough. It'd be interesting to see them bring out other artists. I think Billy Joe is great. I saw Green Day multiple decades. I had not seen them, and I was hella impressed. They put on kind of a Metallica-esque show with fire and laser lights and shit. And I didn't know that it would work with the punk rock and the pop punk, especially their more hard rock stuff the last 20 years, but it worked. So they surely could do the Super Bowl. Who else? Journey, again, I fucking don't like Journey, but you got to admit that with the Super Bowl is in San Francisco and Journey, beside the Grateful Dead and Carlos Santana, is literally the San Francisco band after Metallica. And people fucking love Journey. I will go take a shit during Journey at the Super Bowl, but they surely could bring in the people. Arnell is incredible and a sweetheart. I think Jonathan Cain sucks, and his wife, the preacher, she sucks. Not a fan. Get your shit fixed. It's got to be probably a very miserable band to be in night after night. But Journey is one of the last remaining bands that would probably be able to do the Super Bowl. Maybe the Eagles. But not I can't, except for Life in the Fast Lane. Do the Eagles have a lot of rockin' fucking songs? Some. Not a whole lot, right? And, again, here's, a Def Leppard is like an 80s band, not Crew, because they're fucking terrible and, they're not going to play for free. And I really feel actually really terrible for Vince. If he really had such a debilitating stroke not that long ago, he really ought to pack it the fuck in and stop. Maybe the best he can do is these residencies, but he should stop anyway. But Def Leppard has the numbers. They got a new record for next year, I think. And they're still big enough that maybe they could pass Pantera. Hey, Dave, what's up, brother? I mean, I love Pantera, but they're just not Super Bowl big. They're just not. I love them, but they're just not that big. And, so again, here's a case for Metallica, Korn. I'd love to see Korn. I said at the beginning, I just don't think any of the new metal bands are mainstream commercial enough for middle America. I love Korn. They're bigger than they ever have been. They just did that big stadium show in LA a year ago, right? 10 months ago. But even System or My Chemical Romance, these bands are not humongous. Maybe System, but again, also the politics thing is surprising with Bad Bunny. But surprising that people are so fucking stupid, but it's also surprising that like the NFL was like, yeah, definitely. They see, it's all money to them. But you know, I don't think Deftones are as big as they've ever been. I've seen them several times in the last few years. They were fucking phenomenal, but I just don't think they can do it. Korn would be fun. And Metallica has a history of doing a lot of sports stuff. They did the infamous MTV pop-up thing in the Raiders when they were in Oakland. Now the Raiders are in Vegas. Until the last few years where the Metallica has been on tour during the baseball season, Metallica has come out to the San Francisco Giants to play the anthem with jerseys on and amps that are dressed up to look like, Giants baseball jerseys. Bob Melvin got fired today from the Giants. Kind of sucks. He did a pretty decent job with a shitty team. Metalcore guy 09 is here. What's up? They played the San Jose Sharks games. Apparently, James is a big fan, even though he moved away. And again, here's the case for Metallica. Again, they are as big now as they will ever be. They have been touring. When this M72 next year is over, they're going to go to, they got Australia, New Zealand, I think later this year, in the next couple of months. And then they're going to do Europe all next summer. And then the big rumor is the Sphere at the end of 2026. This is the longest continuous Metallica tour in a long time because they didn't tour that much in the teens as much as people think. They actually took whole years off where they didn't do much. Thanks for following Metalcore Guy 09. I will give you a follow when I am done. I really appreciate you, brother. So Metallica is as big as they have ever been. I saw them a whole bunch of times, like I said, since the pandemic ended, 3 times on the M72 tour. Hung out with my bestie Curtis in New Jersey. And then we went to see Pantera instead of seeing night 2 of that tour. And then I went twice in St. Louis. This is my image from the St. Louis pop-up that I took. And we have all kinds of content and reviews of that Metallica show and tour. And this, Metallica's setup is huge. Could they even do the show they want to do at the Super Bowl with fire and laser lights? And could they make it worthwhile in 12 minutes or 13 minutes or less, to get everybody on and off? Metallica's not going to have fucking backup dancers. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I could see Bad Bunny with like an army of 1,000 dancers and some guest stars in the pop realm and make that work. Like I said, Metallica's got these huge tour dates coming up, and then, it's kind of an open-ended book. They supposedly been working on new music, but we don't know. They did the whole 72 seasons basically in secret by trading files and recording remotely. And, I think that's admirable. I don't know that they would do, it's interesting that they were like circled the wagons and didn't let everybody know every second of that until they had a song ready to drop. We didn't know that record was coming out. So Metallica is as big as they've ever been. So if they were going to do it, now would be the motherfucking time. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it in my lifetime. But also, like, I could see it being a disaster because it's not their environment. It's not controlled by them. Metallica did play the Super Bowl one weekend once, and they didn't play at the Super Bowl. They played the night before the Super Bowl. It was literally called the night before the Super Bowl. And that was when they opened up the Dome in Minnesota, and it was Metallica and Avenged Sevenfold. And Ghost Cult was the only metal website to cover it in person. Luckily, we had somebody that's in the Metallica camp. We got them a pass. They took photos. You see sometimes these birthday photos pop up on our social media. That's from Vicki Anderson, who I miss you. She's kind of semi-retired. I hope she'll come back someday. She rocks. And she used to write a lot of reviews and cover a lot of shows. And she's a Metallica super fan. She's seen Metallica, except for one other person I know personally, more than anyone I know. And, Metallica, they didn't love that experience. They were like, it was, they were not allowed to bring their show, their stage. They had to play, it was like kind of, played a concert the night before to open the Dome. Then Sevenfold played like an hour. Metallica played an hour and a half. So basically a festival show for Metallica, not a headline set like a tour. So they've done that already, and they didn't love it. And they did the Grammys with Lady Gaga, and they didn't love it. And I've seen them a couple of times struggle when they didn't have their way and their say and their gear. So did the NFL snub Metallica? They were not probably even considered. But could they have considered partnering with Metallica, a Bay Area band, or Journey? Maybe. I mean, Dead and Company is, got their legion of fans, but they're not really everybody watching the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the right demographic for football. But Metallica kind of is. So just very interesting. I appreciate y'all for watching. That's our show. We got more content and videos coming this week. I got an interview with Vimic running on our podcast to talk about Joey Jordison and their comeback show this week. And we have another band interview dropping Wednesday, and I'll be back Thursday for my weekly live stream where you can catch me. If you're new here and you watched this far, thank you. Check us out at ghostcultmag.com. I am Keefe, and I am out. Peace and hail Metallica.